presten atención. A continuación vamos a realizar una demostración sobre aspectos de seguridad de este vuelo. Observen que hay 8 puertas de salida, 4 a cada lado del avión.
Is it a barbed satire on Spain's financial crisis, or a bawdy farce about camp stewards, confused pilots and horny passengers? Maybe it's both. I'm So Excited charts the turbulent fortunes of Peninsula Flight 2549, high on tequila and mescaline, and surely headed for a bumpy landing.
Los chalecos salvavidas se encuentran situados debajo de cada uno de sus asientos, pero no deben extraerse a menos que sea necesario su uso.
Gracias.
I'm joined now in economy class by The Guardian film critic Peter Bradshaw and films editor Catherine Shoord. Peter, this is a very different Almodóvar to the one we've been used to seeing in recent years.
Yes, it is. Calling it I'm So Excited is kind of a hostage to fortune, really. It's not called I'm So Excited. I think I'm right in saying it's called Los Pasajeros Amantes, which means travellers in love, roughly. I think I'm right in saying I'm So Excited is the English title put on it. Ironically, it is the Almodóvar film which has caused the least amount of excitement in recent years because it is avowedly just a little bit of light comedy. Almodóvar was on the Graham Norton show the other night and he said, well, if you want to be taken seriously, of course you have to do dark stuff, but if you don't want to do dark stuff, and I don't want to this time, I want to make a light movie, so I guess I'm not going to get quite the same amount of respect. And I think that's true in a way.
And no festival launchpad as well.
No festival launchpad, nothing like Cannes, where I was almost sure that it would certainly be a shoo-in for Cannes, but no. It's a nice little film. It's very entertaining and fun. I'm not sure that I wouldn't rather, in a way, sit through this again than many another more substantial Almodóvar film. But it is kind of flimsy and lightweight, but kind of amusing as well.
Catherine, I found it kind of entertaining, but it's awfully skimpy, isn't it? It's a bit harsh to criticise a film for being silly when that's what it's trying to set out to be. And yet I thought this was kind of fairly obviously stretched over a comparatively short time. It felt thin.
Yeah, it does. Although, I mean, it's strange because although it's thin and silly and frivolous, it has a lot of Almodóvar themes and sort of when you sort of think about it afterwards.
As Catherine so rightly says, it is a classic Almodóvar film with everything that he says, including women being put to sleep. I mean, he's not very feminist in that the stewards who are sort of in charge of the crisis are the male stewards who think nothing of putting the female stewardesses in a state of torpor, as in they're drugged like the passengers. It's also, in its modest way, kind of a satire, because there are lots of newspapers open stories about the dire state of the Spanish economy, and there are lots of gags about the situation, the terrible situation. Oh my God, do you mean the terrible state of the Spanish economy, or do you mean the fact that the plane is about to crash? So there's a little bit of that, but not very much. And I get the sense that he started out by front-loading his movie with some stuff about that, but then it just inevitably it goes back to what he's really interested in, which is sexual transgression, sexual identity, hedonism, gay life, straight life, the dreamlike state of sexual awareness, all those things. He can't stop himself. That's what he wants to make a film about, and it will always come back to that.
Catherine, Peter was saying about the sexual politics are what really interests him. What struck me, though, is that in his early films, that could be seen as genuinely radical, the idea of, sort of transgressive sex and breaking all those taboos when it comes out of the post-Franco movement over in Spain. Now it struck me as a little bit antiquated.
I don't know. I mean, it's strange that, particularly if you think of something like Vicious, the sitcom that's just been on ITV, it feels both a throwback and sort of, groundbreaking in its own way. I mean, what he's sort of saying is all men are bisexual and all bisexuals are gay. That seems to be his agenda there. And, so they're all mine. Which, okay, fine, he can, that's fine, he can have them all. I don't know, it made me...
Not quite all, I should point out.
Pretty much.
Well, pretty much,
There's one person that doesn't sleep with a man or want it in this film, but I think that's about it. And all women are sort of, and the only woman that gets, the only two women that get a lot of airtime are sexually rapacious, almost unquenchably so, are quite predatory, rapey women, which is sort of interesting. I sort of disagree with Peter that it's a brilliantly successful comedy. It felt strangely unsuccessful to me, partly because you have that huge chunk out of it, which sort of breaks the farce rather heavily, but also the kind of set, all that, it felt so, you know, I didn't believe for one second that they were in the air. And I suppose that's the idea, that you're meant to think it's sort of dressing room comedy, could be on stage.
Yeah,
but for me,
I felt it was
I wanted
stagey.
a bit more kind of cinema in it, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's brilliantly successful, but I do think it is successful on its own modestly conceived terms. I think it is successful. He's just very, very sexual, and that's what kind of goes beyond, is it antiquated, is it post-Franco, is it 21st century? He's just, to our basically Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Hollywood eyes, he's got a permanent hard-on. He has these fantastic scenes where the co-pilot asks the pilot, "You're bisexual. Is it true that men give better blowjobs than women?" And it's the thing, wow, interesting. Yeah, I think maybe they do.
You think that's him editorialising?
I think that's absolutely him editorialising. He absolutely thinks that is really interesting and brilliant. And he's probably right.
But it's not, well, it's not, hang on.
Is there anything more important than that?
But it's not just editorialising, it's propagandising. It's sort of saying men do definitely give better blowjobs than women.
If they knew what they were missing out,
if they knew what they were
missing
missing out,
men would jump sides.
Yes, but I think that's sort of great in a way, that he's absolutely upfront. No, nothing is more important than this.
Hola.
Joder, me he quedado sobao.
En este vuelo va mucha gente dormida.
¿Por dónde vamos?
Por la zona de Toledo. Estamos dando vueltas. Cuando aterricemos, lo mismo se parte el avión. O explotamos, que esa es otra.